Thank you very much for taking a few minutes to explore with us on the web some of the benefits to you of a new service that we're providing for helping you track and take forward your school as an effective and efficient learning environment for your staff. Why are we focusing on learning environments? Because just as creating a really effective learning environment for your pupils means that you can be sure your school is an inclusive one where every student can learn, doing the same thing for your staff means that you're setting up an environment in which every member of staff can and does learn in structured and systematic ways. In effect, we're saying what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. And while we're talking about geese, that's quite important for why we call this service Skein. Skein, you may know or may not know, is the collective noun for geese flying in a V formation, and it also means reflect in Norwegian. And we think those two notions capture this business about making a whole bigger than the sum of the parts by engaging in some depth with evidence. One of the unique things about Skein is that this isn't opinion-based, this is empirically evidence-based. Why are we doing this? Well, because the international evidence base about all the things that leadership contributes to pupil learning has one very clear and startling finding, that of all the things you as a school leadership team do, one has twice as much effect as anything else. That's the extent to which, the skill with which, and the way in which you model an interest in and leadership of staff learning. So we know that by focusing the evidence in this place, on this service, we're going to be helping you maximise the impact of all the contributions you and your colleague make to the school's development as a whole. In practical terms, it's designed to help you align staff development and school improvement. It's designed to help you strengthen the connections between staff learning processes and pupil learning processes and staff learning outcomes and student learning outcomes. It's designed to help you get the information you need to focus the decisions about where you spend money. In times of austerity, we recognise that every penny spent on CPD is hard won and needs to make as big a bang for the buck as possible. It's designed to help you create consistent high levels. There will be pockets of strength in professional learning and staff learning and development support across your school. This is about enabling everything to rise to and beyond that level. And it's about helping you build in-school capacities to reduce your dependency on external support, and not just because that saves money, but also because it sets up virtual cycles of improvement. And all of that taken together, we can assure you, will be helping you to build an evidence base that's objective and external for the new leadership component of the new Ofsted framework. It does so by focusing on 5 key areas taken again from the international evidence base and evidence in England about what makes a difference from working with 75 different CPD cases over the last year for GDA. First key issue is collaboration. Just as young people need to learn collaboratively and we need to support them in doing that, the same is true for staff learning. And what this service helps you do is spot all the moments where staff do and have to work together and wrap structured processes around it to make sure they're also simultaneously learning together. It helps you, one of the key areas is it helps you think about as well is another of these aspects that makes a difference, which is the use of specialist expertise. We know from the research evidence that there is always specialist expertise in learning that feeds through for learning for staff that feeds through into pupil benefits. But we also know that's quite often quite small amounts when it's wrapped around by systematic collaboration between staff. So this will help you evaluate how you're spotting expertise and evaluate too how you're using it and whether you're using it in the right places for maximum impact. It'll help you think about how you're using evidence, not just evidence about student performance, which we know you'll all be very good at and working at already, but how you use evidence about processes that arises naturally from staff learning to increase the focus and pace and momentum of staff learning. It helps you think about needs analysis, not just diagnostically at the beginning and summatively at the end, but also formatively. If you like, this will help you apply what you know about assessment for learning for young people to staff learning, and in involving staff in doing that for themselves, it will help them gain more maximum benefit from the support they give to assessment for learning for young people. And last and by no means least, it focuses in some considerable depth on the leadership of staff learning, exploring 5 different components of that in quite practical and detailed ways in order to help you figure out, with our recommendations and evidence, where to put your attention next. And it does that both through the diagnostic report and through recommendations. So what you get out of this is an initial diagnostic report against the benchmarks and research-based standards that you can have every confidence in. It gives you separately a report with recommendations and advice about key things to plan for. It'll help you get access to development tools and resources for taking that forward, and a range of follow-up services you might want to draw down. The demands we make on you are kept manageable and to a minimum, even though this is about empirical evidence, not lots of opinion. So we use a range of existing school documents. There's no additional bureaucracy here. We sample staff strategically, and we use very short interviews. 20 minutes would be a typical amount of time. And when we do focus groups so that staff can learn together as well as providing evidence together, we do that in lunchtime and twilight sessions, so we're not taking staff out of class. It involves a very short and easy to fill in staff survey, and we do interview the whole leadership team as a group in order to make sure that the discussion is beneficial to them and helps build ownership for whatever planning you decide to take at the conclusion of the process, as well as collecting the evidence that we need. The benchmarks themselves explore 4 different levels of maturity, ranging for each component, for each benchmark, from developing, enhancing, embedding and transforming, and our analysis and synthesis of the evidence against those benchmarks shapes the writing of the report and helps you understand not just what's going on, but why changing that, tweaking that, refining that might make a big difference, and in understanding that puts you in control of the choices and actions that you make make from it. I do hope I've intrigued you and made you want to know more. I hope you'll get in touch with us, ask us more questions. We're certainly ready and excited to have those conversations with you and help you think about how to use this, whether it's for you as an individual school or as a group of schools. Thank you very much.